Jaylon Johnson and Kyler Gordon are officially back for the Chicago Bears and will be making their returns on Black Friday against the Philadelphia Eagles. This is major for the team. We're going to take a look at that. Plus, we're going to look at the keys for the offense and the defense and some key matchups coming up in tomorrow's game. We're getting into all that and more right after this.
You are now tuned in to Chicago Bears Central, your number one place for all Chicago Bears news and content.
What's going on, Bears fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bears Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related. I'm the host there, Haize, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Chi Bears Central on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that said, let's go ahead and get into this content today, y'all. And the news that we've all been waiting for and that we pretty much expected was made official. Kyler Gordon and Jaylon Johnson will be making their return against the Eagles. And this is major for the Chicago Bears, getting these cornerbacks back and what they can do. Now, I want to set the expectation. Do not expect them to be 100% themselves right away in this first game back, but just their presence and what it does schematically for Dennis Allen is going to be huge in this game on Black Friday, and that's really good to see from this team. You look at Jaylon Johnson, who's missed basically the entirety of training camp, all but one game, a partial game at that, and he's just never really, has been on the field for the Chicago Bears this year. This is a major weapon for Dennis Allen with the skill set that he brings with that. He's been rehabbing for over 2 months. He returned to practice a couple of weeks ago. He's been a full go for a lot of that, getting up to speed, all that type of stuff, and he's now making his return against the Eagles, which is major. Now, what this hasn't, there are a couple of people that are like, well, I would wait to let him return against the Green Bay Packers, and it's like, I understand that, right? I understand the mindset. You want him, to avoid a potential chance to get hurt, those type of things. But here's what I'll say to that. Getting them back now on Friday against the Philadelphia Eagles gives them one game kind of under their belt, and it gets them extra reps. There's nothing you can do to really simulate full game live action speed. So getting one game like that before an important matchup against the interdivision rivals in the Green Bay Packers, that's going to be huge for this Bears team. So I think it's the right thing that they've done. They've played this, really close to the vest in regards to their progression and stuff like that. But it's good. Jaylon Johnson's out there. He's going to make a big return, and I think he's going to be a big part of what Dennis Allen schemes going forward. And then you look at Kyler Gordon, who's dealt with his injuries all for the majority of the season. He missed the first 4 games of the season with the hamstring injury. He returned in week 6 against the Commanders. He only lasted for 2 games where he didn't really look himself with that before he got put on the on the injured reserve and missed the next 5 games after that. So, we'll see. So far in 2 games, Kyler Gordon has 6 tackles, 1 for a loss, and a fumble recovery. But now having him out there and with the way that CJ Gardner-Johnson has played, it's been great. So we'll see how many snaps Johnson and Kyler Gordon end up playing on Friday. The 2 of them have played less than 10 combined quarters of football this season, so it creates some added depth to that. You look at how Nahshon Wright's playing, CJ Gardner-Johnson. You get Tyreek Stevenson move back to his more natural CB2 position, and now we get to see how this thing all rocks out for this team and how well they're going to perform. So love to see this. Love to see that we're getting back fully healthy here soon. And with this playoff push over these last 6 games, every game is important in this. We have the defending Super Bowl champions that we're coming up against tomorrow in the Philadelphia Eagles. This is a battle for number 1. This is what this is. And, the Bears are going to be in a lot of those. The Green Bay Packers won today as well. So even next week is going to be another battle for the number 1 in the NFC North, right? So the Bears have tests, and the good teams are coming. There are no more easy games except if you look at the Browns. But with how the Bears have played this season, there are no easy games. Everything has come down the stretch in the last moment. And I don't know if I expect that to change against this Eagles team. But that brings us to our next topic, talking about what are the keys for the Chicago Bears against the Eagles. We're going to start with the offensive side of the ball. The first thing that we want to talk about is at the top, Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams needs to have one of his best games of his NFL career against this Philadelphia Eagles team. This is a team that, they give up some yards when it comes down to. They rank towards the bottom of passing defense. They allow 225 yards in air per game. So this is going to be a game where the pre-snap, the cadence that we have here, the rhythm that we get into passing the ball wise, as a team. Caleb Williams avoid, throwing those interceptions, going through his progressions naturally. Like, there are going to be some opportunities for Caleb Williams to have a big game here against the Philadelphia Eagles. And when you look at this, he's thrown 3 touchdowns. In the last 4 games, he's thrown 3 touchdowns per game, but he hasn't had a 300-yard game yet. Can he do that against this Philadelphia Eagles team? We'll see. He's going to have to play a really, really good game when it comes down to this one against this Eagles team. If he does not, it's going to be tough. Now, we have to continue to find success on the ground, and that's going to be the next thing. And one of the key battles in this game as well, when you look at those individual kind of battles, is the Bears running backs versus the Eagles defense. The Eagles have given up over 115 yards per game, and the Bears have had the second best overall rushing offense in football, since they really started discovering the better balance there. Common non-guy is going to be looking for his 4th straight game with a touchdown on Friday, and DeAndre Swift is going to be looking to bounce back from a game that wasn't necessarily the best in last week, where we went to Common non-guy more because Swift just wasn't being successful. So the Bears are going to have to lean on the running game at times in this one for sure. And, we'll see what Swift and Manon guy, that dual-headed monster there at running back. We're going to have to see how well they'll perform against the Eagles defense, because this defense is coming, and they're not going to try to make it easy on the Bears at all. The Eagles made moves at the trade deadline to solidify their chances to be a Super Bowl caliber team. This is a huge test for this team. And so that brings us to the next key for this one. You have to be consistent. We have to be very consistent in the way that we move the ball, in the way that we operate, because if we don't, it's going to be tough. Now, we know that the Bears offense ranks very highly across, the league averages and things like that, and that's really good. We're going to have to outscore the Eagles with consistently moving the football, moving the chains, getting those big third downs that we can, but the balance is going to have to be there. If we don't have balance against this Eagles team, they will punch us in the face, we will lose this game, and we will get embarrassed. And so consistency in the way that we produce, the way that we move, all those type of things, you have to keep the penalties down. You have to keep from turning the ball over, which the Bears have been really good about, right? It's not turning the ball over, but we got to keep those things going. And how well we continue on drives. The Bears have fallen flat on a lot of drives over the course of this season, and that's been something that has plagued this offense, even despite where their rankings are yardage and touchdown-wise and scoring-wise and things like that. We're going to have to try to control the pace against the Eagles. If we can control that pace, things can be really good. It's not easy. Look, I want to be clear. I say it and talking about it makes it sound easy, but this is not an easy task for the Chicago Bears at all. The Eagles' defense has been improving over the last few weeks as well. They gave up 24 unanswered points to the Cowboys, so look at that as a thing that you can do in this game. But the Bears are going to have to win those individual battles. They're going to have to continue, moving the chains, those type of things. And for what it's worth, Ben Johnson has talked about the importance of having this team prepared and how this coaching staff has had this team prepared. And we're going to have to see all of that in this game against the Philadelphia Eagles, because you're going to have to be prepared if you want to win this game. And that brings us to the last key for the offense here: red zone execution. How do you play? The Eagles right now giving up over 20 points per game to their opponents, and they're holding opponents to 48% red zone touchdown rate. When you pair that with the Chicago Bears, we know that we score decently well in the red zone, but it's not always touchdowns. The Bears are going to have to execute in that red zone if they're going to want to get touchdowns. One of the strengths of this Eagles team is they may have the bend but don't break thing, much like the Bears defense, right? Whereas the Bears defense, it bends but doesn't break. The Eagles defense, it bends but doesn't break, but it doesn't give up red zone. When you get in the red zone, that's where the Eagles really become dominant. And they are very dominant at keeping their opponents from scoring touchdowns in the red zone. Now, the Bears are a top 10 scoring offense in this league. They rank 16th, though, in red zone touchdown rate at just under 58%. So this is going to have to be one of those situations where the Bears are going to have to make one of the things that has not been a great strength of this team. It has to be a strength against this Eagles team. If not, it is going to get ugly against this team. So we'll see. Keep in mind that this Eagles offense puts up points in a hurry, so the Bears are going to have to score touchdowns on every drive that they can. They cannot leave a lot on the table against this Eagles team. If you do, you're going to get embarrassed. And so, we'll see how the Bears offense can do that. Again, these are the things that the offense has to do consistently to be able to have success against the Eagles. Predictions will come tomorrow when we're live and all those type of things, but the Bears have to do these things and do it consistently if they do it. And if they don't, man, it's going to be very, very tough for the Bears to find that rhythm that they need to offensively. So Declan Doyle, Ben Johnson, Caleb Williams, the offensive play callers, the quarterback, they are going to have this team on point. Our offensive line is going to have to be on point communicating, eliminate those pre-snap things. If you shoot yourself in the foot a lot in this game against the Eagles, it's going to get ugly for you. And so let's see what the Bears can do against this Eagles team on Friday, and let's see if they can get a win. But let's switch this, and let's look at the defense. There's a lot of key matchups and a lot of keys for the Bears here on the defensive side of the ball. Of course, us getting healthier is one of the biggest benefits of this Bears team coming into this game, right? There's still no real word on TJ Edwards or Noah Sewell, so we'll see what happens there, right? We know that Tremaine Edmonds is on IR. There's not a chance for him to return. So we're still looking at DeMarco Jackson, Amin, and Ruben Hippolyte, all probably going to have fairly major roles in this game. And so with that health, with the linebackers not being great, and then you look at Kyler Gordon and Jaylon Johnson making their return, health either way is going to make a big determining factor in this game. And so how do the Bears overcome some of the lack of health that they have there? And how do the players that are returning back from injury, how do they look in their first game back? It's not always common that players come back and look exactly like themselves right away, especially for the amount of time Kyler Gordon and Jaylon Johnson have missed this season. So with those things all being there, the Bears are going to have to really kind of lock in here, deal with these injuries, and we'll see what that's going to hold for them. Next up, you have to take care of A.J. Brown, right? He's not happy, and he's been very vocal about it, right? You look at what happened against the Cowboys and, this week with Jalen Hurts and stuff like that. And so this team is going to come into this game fired up. You're going to have to be prepared for that one. So when you look at A.J. Brown, the matchup, Nahshon Wright versus A.J. Brown is a huge key matchup in this game, right? You look at what he did and how he performed against DK Metcalf, really solid, right? Even though Jaylon Johnson and Kyler Gordon are making their returns, we don't know exactly how many snaps they're going to play. Nahshon Wright versus A.J. Brown is a huge, important matchup in this game. And so we'll see. A.J. Brown is already frustrated. Can we frustrate him a little bit more? Can we throw him off his game by the way that we play? Let's get physical. Let's stay physical. And so that matchup with A.J. Brown is going to be a huge one in this game for the Chicago Bears. And another matchup, the O-line, the Eagles offensive line versus the Bears defensive line. The Tush Push. I mean, listen, the Eagles have made the Tush Push a legit weapon, and their offensive line is something that's hard to compete with either way, right? And so when you look at it, Dennis Allen said this week that the best defense of a Tush Push is to not allow the opportunity for it. And so that's going to have to be something that we look for. The Bears spent a lot of money on the trenches, and the Bears defensive line hasn't quite held up its end of the bargain. Montez Sweat's playing better. Dayo Odeyingbo's kind of been what we expect from Dayo at this time. Grady Jarrett hasn't really lived up to the expectations of bringing in a veteran defensive tackle, in my opinion. But we're going to have to figure it out. Even Austin Booker, after, some initial flashes when he came back, has been kind of quiet, right? So let's see what we end up getting in this game. And so the D-line versus the Eagles offensive line is one of the biggest matchups in this game. And the Tush Push is going to be something that you cannot overlook in this one, man. You got to be able to defend against the Tush Push. And that's been something that is really the Eagles have used to their advantage a lot so far in the season. And let's see how the Bears can counteract it, right? And then overall, the Bears defensive backs against Jalen Hurts in general is probably one of the biggest factors in this game that's going to determine a win or loss for the Chicago Bears. It's going to be a difficult matchup, right? This isn't just about the passing game either with the Bears defensive backs and covering. It's also when he does try to break out and make some plays with his legs as well. We're going to have to try to lock down A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith as well in all of that. But in doing that, that can leave the field open for Jalen Hurts to make some plays with his legs. And so it's going to be important for this Bears defense as a whole to keep a spy. And so it's more than just the cornerbacks, right? You're going to have to use Jaquan Brisker, Kevin Byard as well in this game to be that spy on Jalen Hurts at time. And the linebackers are also going to have their hands full. So it's going to be one of those games where I think, if Ruben Hippolyte's healthy and plays, his speed could help a lot for the Chicago Bears in this game. We'll see. We're going to have to keep Jalen Hurts contained. If we don't keep Jalen Hurts contained, it is going to be a long game because Jalen Hurts is one of those guys where he can do a lot of different things with his legs, with his arms. We've seen all of that. And overall, we just got to see how the Bears are going to stand up and be prepared and ready in this game for those aspects. Because, listen, again, Nahshon Wright, CJ Gardner-Johnson, Kyler Gordon, Jaylon Johnson, all those guys are all very, very important. In this game, you got to watch out for those players. Jalen Hurts is a absolute monster when he gets rolling. And I didn't even mention Saquon Barkley yet, and think about what that means, right? So you got to be locked in for this team. This offense has weapons. A.J. Brown, Saquon Barkley, Jalen Hurts, all these guys that are ready to be there and ready to perform. How this Bears defense handles these guys is going to be an important part of all of this. And we'll see how the Bears are able to do that, because this is not going to be one of those things where you come in and just have, an easy game, right? So this is the biggest test for the Bears yet. And we're going to be saying that a lot over the course of the next few weeks. A lot of these are going to be a lot of these games are going to be huge tests for the Chicago Bears based off how the season has gone overall and how and where our weak spots are and how we've performed. So let's see what the Bears can do, man. Predictions, if people are ready to doubt the Chicago Bears. You got some people that are ready to believe in the Chicago Bears, and that's it, right? We'll see who started at left tackle as well. There's been one thing that Ben Johnson hasn't committed yet to who's going to be starting at the left tackle position yet for the Chicago Bears in this game, but you got to be ready to go. And there are a lot of reasons for optimism in this game for the Bears and what they've done. This Eagles team is dysfunctional. Say what you will about their win and loss total and all that type of stuff, but there's something going on there. When I talk about the frustration that's been there with the Eagles, and sometimes when that manifests itself out on the football field, that's where you could try to take advantage of it through your execution and just not going away. The Eagles are 8-3 on the season, but there's definitely some things going on in that locker room and in that franchise that, I don't follow the team day in and day out, so I'm only judging it from the outside looking in. But you gotta look out for that. You really gotta look out for that. And the Bears' rushing attack on the offensive side of the ball is going to be one that I'm really looking to make a big impact in this game. If Kyle Monangai and DeAndre Swift can find that rhythm that they found in some other games, this is going to be a game where we can put that Eagles defense on its heels. And we just got to play tight in the places that we got to play tight at. You have to execute from top to bottom. You cannot take this one lightly. If you do, it's going to go the opposite way. And the Bears have had some really good success on the road as well, right? They're 4-2 on the road so far this season. So if you're looking at some things like the Bears, for what it's worth, have played pretty damn well on the road. Like I said, that 4-2 record. And when you look at who we've beat on the road, the Raiders, the Commanders, the Bengals, the Vikings, right? We beat all those teams on the road. And all four of those games, have come down to being one-score games as well. I don't expect that to be any different in this game. So when you have those games that play tight, and it's the Bears' job to keep this game tight throughout the majority of the game, when you do that, anybody can win. And that's why the Bears have been able, as many people have judged and talked about the Bears not being able to close out games and how close everything has come down to the fourth quarters. And I completely understand the frustration in that completely. Make no mistake about it. Completely understand the frustration in that. But it's something to be said about a team that can keep the game close and then execute down the stretch of the game. The Bears, the job is to keep this close. Do not allow the Eagles to get on a run against you, because they do put up points, put them up fast. And if you allow them to get into that rhythm while you can't match that yourself, it's going to be a long game. I'm looking at the coaching staff major in this one. Dennis Allen, Ben Johnson. What do you guys bring to this team schematically? Especially Dennis Allen now, as the playbook is going to open up a little bit more for him. We'll see how many snaps Kyler Gordon and then play. But now that you have some more schematic things that you can do with moving CJ Gardner-Johnson to linebacker or Kyler Gordon to linebacker in some matchups to put more pressure on the quarterback, take advantage of their speed and their coverage ability, that's going to be something that I was really salivating over coming into the season, and we haven't gotten to see it because of the injuries and things like that. We're now getting back to being able to see that. Do we see a little bit of that in this game? And Ben Johnson, the biggest thing with him that we've talked about, continue trusting your run game. There have been some times in drives where it should be clear rushing drives, and Ben Johnson, through whether wanting to get Caleb Williams some reps or hit the knockout, he doesn't trust the running game. You have to trust your running backs in this one. This is an Eagles team that is susceptible to giving up rush yards. You got to keep your head on the swivel when it comes to that and be ready and prepared for that. And so coaching is going to make a big, huge difference in this game. How well these coaches have the Bears prepared in this game is going to be major. So overall, I'll say this, man. I'm very excited for this game. I think this is going to be one of those games where people are going to look at it and try to use this to say how legit the Bears are, because they're coming up against the Philadelphia Eagles. And listen, win or lose or draw in this game, since draws are possible in football, you gotta compete. And I'm more than anything, I want to see this team hold their own. There have been some Bears fans that say the Bears are going to sweep the last 6 games. I don't see that. I appreciate Bears fans getting involved in the hype, because how often have Bears fans predicted the Bears to win 6 straight games, which would actually work out being like 8 or 9 straight games with how many they've already won. But the team has to come out and prove it, and prove it that they will. And let's go out here. Let's compete. Let's put all of her out there, because like Caleb Williams said, this is not the same old Bears. This ain't the same old Chicago Bears. This is different. There are things that are different in this organization and how this team is moving, and let's see how it works out for the team. But I appreciate y'all for tapping in, especially on Thanksgiving. This is a statement game, a measuring stick game, anything that you want to call it. It's a chance for Chicago to show the league exactly who they've become in this league. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure you guys hit the like button, subscribe as well to the channel. You can follow us at Shy Bear Central. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, chicagobearcentral@gmail.com. And lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-242-9336. We are the #1 spot for everything Chicago Bears related, but that is thanks to you, lovely and beautiful people. And like I like to end every episode on, Chi-Town up, Bear down. Love you guys. Peace, y'all.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.